Paranormal Dimensions is a regular feature on Mondays on the Paranormal UK radio network. Any opinions or comments made by any guest are their own, and they do not necessarily reflect any of the presenters or network's opinions.
Many times in the history of our civilization, the introduction of a new thought has brought skepticism, even ridicule. Despite this, there always has remained the duty and inalienable right to tell the people the truth.
This is Sacha Christie, and you're listening to the Paranormal UK radio network, the UK's biggest paranormal network. And this is Paranormal Dimensions with David Young.
For me, this is the kind of show that I like doing most, where you basically just have a freewheeling discussion, have a chance to go off on topics. That's what's going to make you an outstanding player in the field. Just keep doing it.
Hello and welcome to the show. Thank you for that introduction, Sacha. Sacha will be back shortly, along with Juliette Gregson. They will be both guests and guest presenters. So we'll be talking about all things paranormal. Also, thank you, Peter Robbins, for those kind words. Once again, I'd like to say thank you for the messages and well wishes that I've been receiving. I got one message that's actually quite concerning to me. It's from a Tiffany Buttram, and she's in Alabama, USA. She says she needs help. There are spirits of some kind around my home, and they call me. She says it's gotten so bad that I have left everything and I'm living in my vehicle with one work uniform and one other change of clothes because I'm concerned about my safety. And then later on she said, I need help, she's bigger than I previously thought. So if anyone in Alabama, she doesn't say where in Alabama, but if anyone thinks they may be able to help her, can you please get in touch with me and I'll put you in touch with Tiffany. Thank you. Okay, so if anyone else would like to get in touch with me, my email address is davidyoung2qn@yahoo.co.uk. That's davidyoung2qn@yahoo.co.uk. Okay, right, let's get on with the show and welcome Sacha Christie and Juliette Gregson. Welcome to the show, Juliette and Sacha.
Hello.
Hello, darling. Welcome, my two favourite ladies. Well, almost my two favourite ladies, anyway.
That's hotel.
Well, that's why I said almost my two favourite ladies, anyway. Just thought, well, you've both helped me present the show in the past. So I thought it might be a good idea to have you both on together. Perhaps you might get into a good argument for a bit of entertainment. And no, I just thought it might be a nice idea to get you both together along with me, and we just discuss like paranormal in general, and like our own experiences, our own beliefs, your own belief, all that sort of stuff. Because there's probably people out there that may not have had any paranormal experiences, don't really know if there's any truth in a lot of it, or they may just be complete non-believers, or they may be believers that have never experienced anything. And we can use our own experiences to, perhaps tell them a little bit about that, But, do you think that's an idea?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Sacha. You were just talking about your Blackpool ghost experience. Perhaps you'd like to start off with that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've had experiences from being little. So, on this particular day trip to Blackpool, I think I will have been around about the age of 10. And we went in the ghost train.
Hey!
which actually has a real ghost. Well, obviously I didn't know that at that age. I wouldn't have gone on it if I'd have known that. But it was me and my sister and two friends, Katrina and Joanne, and we'd gone like most of the way around the ghost train, and probably about 10, 15 feet from the, you know, the floppy doors that you sort of bash into when you go out the other side.
Yeah, the ones that knock all your hair all over the place, aren't they? Yeah.
The thing just stopped. It just stopped. And we're all sat there like, huh? And it's pitch black, obviously. And we're all young girls. And then we had this clumping coming up behind us, these footsteps clonking up behind us. And they were really heavy footsteps and loud. There's no mistaking the fact that they were actually footsteps. For some reason, instead of thinking, oh, it's whoever, you know, some guy who's going to come and pull us out, we all screamed at the same time. For the same amount of time. You know what I mean? Like and then the doors open and this guy comes in and he just sort of drags us out from the front, and we were like, we heard somebody coming up behind us. We heard someone coming up behind us. He said, there's nobody in here. Like that was like, oh. So yeah, that was one of my early ghost experiences. And then I found out, I don't know how many years ago it was, it's been a while since I've watched Most Haunted. But they did one at the fairground in Blackpool, didn't they? And they went to the ghost train, and the ghost there, they call it, was it clogging?
Yeah.
I'll jump in when you...
Have you heard of it then, Juliette?
They really had not footprints, but a footstep.
I'm waiting for Sacha just to tell everything, and then I'm going to sort of jump in and give a bit of background for you both. So.
Well then, I'll finish, that was it.
I'll tell you what sounds a bit surreal, would be in a ghost train, and the bloke coming in and saying there's nothing there. I thought, it sort of spoils the whole illusion, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. There is a bit of a flip side to the Pleasure Beach. Which I think Sasha's just recently found out, because I sort of posted my alternative CV. Don't know if you read it and went, actually, yeah, Juliette has done this kind of stuff for longer than anybody thinks. But anyway, right, Blackpool Pleasure Beach is 125 years old this year.
Is it?
And it's very, very old. And basically, the actual fairground site was built on the sand dunes and the gypsies, etc., etc. Anyway, Cloggy did work at the Pleasure Beach. Nobody knows the real name. Now, my late granddad, Frank Gregson, was a joiner at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and I remember sort of getting free rides, so I was sort of laughing when you were telling me. And I was actually one of the researchers for the Most Haunted Lab for Blackpool, but that's another story for another programme. And that's to be discussed off air, because there's certain things I could get sued for. Yay, go Juliette. But I remember going, Grandad, yes, Juliette, Cloggy, is he real? And he says, yes and no. And I went, what do you mean? And he actually did this to me the first time I went on the ghost train. He hid in the ride and jumped out. Hello! Not in that voice, obviously, but it was like, I'm scared of Jesus, so that's why I was laughing. And he had a friend, and I wrote about this for the local newspaper, the Blackpool Gazette, and I'll send something over to you both. And it was just like, everybody loves it. But, he says, there were times when him and his work friend Steve, which was his protege, they were in there doing maintenance work, and he said, it was just those two. He said, you could hear somebody with heavy footsteps. He says, we'd wind everybody up, but there was something there. That's not the only ghost there. Yeah. But I love things like that, because part of it is like, yeah, it's a bit of a laugh, and the Pleasure Beach just perpetuate it. But there is an element of truth in it.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say it was him doing it all the time.
No, once or twice, yes.
It happened.
Yeah, and it is scary. There was things that I've heard. You've got the ice drone, which is known as the ice arena now, and there was a gentleman called Julian, and he did a trapeze act on skates, and he fell and he broke his neck during a show. And for years, it's weird. If you've ever been ice skating, there's a weird sound when there's nobody and the ice cracks. And it sometimes sounds like people are skating on it, and it's really weird if it's just you and nobody else. And I've been there at silly o'clock in the morning when I used to ice skate, and it would be like, somebody's watching me. So, yeah. somebody, it's trying to explain to somebody else, be it a ghost or, you know, in ufology, if you've experienced something, and you always get that quizzical side head tilty thing, and people go, yes, and you go, no. I remember doing a guest tour once, and I opened it with, hello, I'm Juliette, I see dead people. I did it as a laugh, but I did it as an icebreaker, but it's like, conferences are fantastic for people like me, you know, like you, Sacha, and it's just, you can stand there, you can tell your story, and nobody takes the Michael.
Yeah.
You don't have to start it with, this is going to sound really weird, but I was not drinking, I was not on drugs, and here is my psychological assessment from my doctor, so I can tell you the story.
But it's nice, it's nice to sort of be able, you know, to do things like this. You know, I've never seen a UFO, I've never seen anything of that nature. I'm more experienced with the paranormal and the weird ass crap that goes with it. So to me, to listen to somebody like you or other people, it's like, ooh, I like doing the show, I learned something. But it's something I wanted to ask you actually. As a woman within this realm,
you have been drinking, haven't you? I thought you.
What do you call a realm?
A realm. Jesus Christ, you won't think about elocution lessons, would you? Try again. Slash tries the teeth for the horse. How do you find being, this is going to sound slightly weird and maybe a bit sexist, being a woman in this environment? And I think I mentioned something.
Oh, well, it's...
Ooh. Is it like...
No, it's a mixed bag, really. Most people are completely oblivious to the fact, don't even think about gender when it comes to research or whatever. But there's a certain faction that are completely misogynistic, and even women who are misogynistic, I've come up against so much of it, but it's because I'm outspoken and I don't like outspoken women. There's still this sort of air of we've all got to be respectable, and we've all got to, you know, I'm not like I'm not being disrespectful by speaking my mind. Do you know what I mean? It's just that I don't like if I say to somebody, well, I don't agree with that, you know, I think it's this, they lose their, however, there's certain elements of ufology that just don't like women being outspoken or public or whatever, unless you're all nice and pretty wearing a nice power suit, which I've been told to wear a power suit, have some pictures taken. No, I won't, because that's not me. I don't want to be in that crowd. I want to be down here with everybody else who's having the experiences. You know, I don't want to be the ones, I just don't want to be like that. You know, I'm not going to wear a power suit. I'm not going to have some, you know, like striking pictures taken.
Damn, I was going to offer.
No, I'm you know, I mean, I'm just not like that. I'm just can't be bothered with it. And, you know, people are okay being rude, but they don't like it when, you know, you give it back. I found that a lot.
Yeah.
I think you came out with a phrase once, correct me if I'm wrong, and it was a wonderful line, and it was like, ufology, they eat their own. And I howled when I read that, and I just thought, oh, that's funny, we need a Phil Mantle, do a t-shirt. It was, I kept coming up with ideas for t-shirts, it was like, you know,
it's a great slogan, isn't it? Yeah,
it is, isn't it? It's
especially like UFO Twitter. That is very cannibalistic.
Yeah, another one of yours, Sacha, is snakes eating snakes, isn't it? I've heard that one quite a few times.
A pond of piranhas in a feeding frenzy, that was another one. I can't repeat any of the other ones, they've all got swear words in them.
I can do a polite one, I think. Again, I've suggested this to Phil, whether he uses it as a different, I said, you can have one and it says, I'm a civil servant, and underneath it says, no, I don't work for the MOD. I could legitimately wear that, you know, because, yeah.
But it was civil servant. Oh, the rest of us.
It's a very niche t-shirt.
I'm an uncivil non-servant.
Well, there is one thing, Juliette, what you were talking about when you mentioned UFOs. You said you've never seen one, but what is your belief in them? And you know a few people that have seen them, like myself and Sacha and, you know, quite a few other people.
Billy, Ronnie. It's, over the years, obviously, attending closer to home, there was Probe, with Sam and Jean, during the past, obviously, a few years. So it's things that I used to attend, things like that, and it was just like, sat in the audience, listening to people thinking, wow. And to me, it was an offshoot of my parents letting me watch Star Trek and Star Wars and things like that, and it was really interesting. I need to know more. And as much as I've spoken to everybody who's experienced it, said, just ask. And I said, I have. Well, you're not asking hard enough. And then I've had other people say, would you really want that?
Yeah.
And some people are like, yes, they want it. Other people, it's affected them for life. I mean, look at, like you and Calvin and
Right. John's no longer with us because he just couldn't cope with reality after that.
Yeah. Do I really want?
I thought he'd actually committed suicide. He didn't. It was just accidental overdose and whiskey and morphine for his back. But, you know, when I first spoke to Steve in 2013 after not seeing him since 1997 and he told me that John had died and it was an overdose, I just assumed that he'd like taken his own life. But it wasn't like that at all. But Steve's come forward this year. He's coming forward. So in August, now that this conference can go ahead, you know, the Outer Limits
Well, we hope so.
Yeah.
Well, no, because they said in June, they're not going to do this lockdown stuff anymore. We're never going to go in lockdown. And by June, everything will be open again and we can have something like a normal summer. I know they're going to take it in 5-week increments, but this is the Tory government and all they care about is money, money, money. So everybody get back to work. Everybody get back out there doing your thing. Regardless of whatever's going on. But, well, you know what, I'm, to be honest, I'm glad because, I really can't be doing with any more of this, being locked up and can't move and can't, you know, I don't go anywhere very often, but, I'd like to sometimes, you know.
Yeah, I think we've all had enough of it. We're all sick of it.
Pretty sure that the conference is going to go ahead.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling. Got a feeling.
Yeah, if anyone's wondering what we'll be talking about, in Hull, what's the date of it, Sacha? It's in Hull, it's the Outer Limits Conference, with Chris Evers. I can't think what the date is though, that's in August.
It's August hold on, let me find the calendar and I'll...
But it's actually been delayed, it was actually going to be this year, last year, wasn't it? Last September.
So
14th? 14th of August?
14th of August.
Right.
That ring a bell? Ish.
So, our event in Wales in 97 was like 4 adults, 2 children. And obviously 1 adult is no longer with us. The 2 children are no longer children. They have little memories. My son's like, oh, you know, I don't want to go there. He don't really like thinking about it, don't like talking about it. I asked him if he wanted to make a statement because, you know, Steve's gonna be coming forward and Danya's probably going to make a statement that she doesn't want her face out there, she doesn't want her last name out there, but she's, you know, she wants to tell people what her experience of the same event was. And Steve is going to be up on stage with me telling his version of the same event, and that'll be like the first time ever for 24 years now, because it was February it happened, so it's 24 years. And so after about 8 years was when I got a computer and I told the internet, and oh boy, would I have done it differently if I'd known.
Yeah.
Anyway, it happened to Steve, and they saw me being savaged, and so they didn't really want to come forward. And Steve's life wasn't, you know, stable enough. He was in and out of relationships, and you know, like we've all had substance abuse problems, like whether it's just drinking too much or like party drugs or whatever. You know, I never wanted to go to sleep, so I never wanted to go to bed, so I would like be out all the time, so we go to parties all the time, because, you know, you can go out and stay out all night then, can't you? And then you don't have to be at home on your own. Because I had my son, and he was with his dad every other week, so I was like, I had all this time when I was just on my own. And I was like, can't do it. So that's when I started chasing, you know, parties and whatever. I know that Steve's had a few sort of bouts of drinking, and he's not like that now, and I'm not like that now either. And his life's now stable, and he moved to Spain, and I tried to find him, but I couldn't find him anywhere. Any attempts to find where they were by normal means, not Facebook. But then in 2013, I found him through an old friend on Facebook that I hooked up with. He was on their friends list, so I was, messaged him like, hello.
Do you remember me? Yeah.
So called me from Spain, and we were on the phone for about 2 hours.
Wow.
Talking about what it was like for him and what he remembers and what it was like for me and what I remember. And then he told me that Danya had had to stay an extra night because the car wouldn't start. We all, because we fell out the day after it all happened. Me and Steve and my son, we just ran away early morning and got a coach back to Leeds. But I feel really bad about that now, because Tanya had to stay another night, and it was really awful, and the atmosphere was terrible, and she was absolutely terrified because of what had happened the night before, and we'd gone, and that was a big shock for her. She couldn't believe it, but the atmosphere was dangerous. It just felt dangerous, and it really shook us all up. So we weren't behaving normally. We weren't behaving normally when it was happening, or how you would expect anyway. So there's more to the story than my recollections, and finally it's all going to be out there. But I'm a bit nervous about that, to be fair, because I don't know what's going to happen. It's either people are going to pay attention or they're not. Now.
Oh, sure, they'll be paying attention, Sacha. It's
yeah. But it's never been a massive deal, has it? Because it's just one person telling the story, and people say that they don't believe me because I said that the craft was about 20 miles away and off on the horizon. We were up on a mountain high up. People don't believe you can't see that far away. It was like, well, I don't bloody know how far away the horizon is. I'm stuck on the mountain. You know what I mean? I'm in the military and I know these things well. I'm in the military and I haven't got a clue, mate.
And a lot depends on how clear the sky is as well.
What do you want me to say? Congratulations. I don't care. People don't believe me. I'm like, well, I'm not surprised because it's absolutely bonkers. It is really bonkers. It's no more bonkers than Travis Walton, and there's a group of them, and they all back each other up. But
well, that's the thing, you see. It wasn't just you seeing it, was it? It was several people, and your family and everything. So they wouldn't all be lying, would they?
No, we're not lying. I've not been lying. In fact, I thought I'd exaggerated things in my mind, but then when I spoke to Steve, and he was like, no, it was like this, and I was like, I've actually shrunk it down to try and make it, easier to live with. So all I'd shrunk it down to was, because I tried to forget it all, was just sort of stood underneath the craft looking up at the central circle of light, where he was like, don't you remember when it came towards us and it was all rippling through the clouds? And I was like, oh God, yeah, because they used to talk about that. They used to talk about it looked like a jellyfish rippling through the clouds. But I just wanted to forget it and get on with my life, but it was impossible. It's just impossible to get something like that.
Can you actually relate what actually happened to you? What does he remember happening to you?
Well, he said that he was washing up. And I was upstairs, I was in the bedroom, and I remember when he shouted at me, I was actually getting stuff out of my bag, and I think I was gonna go get a bath. And he was downstairs and he was washing up. The kids were downstairs and they were playing at the bottom of the stairs. It was a kind of higgledy-piggledy house with lots of rooms, so, you come downstairs into a big kitchen, there's a big living room on the left, and then in the kitchen there's another door, and there's a playroom with a pool table or something in it. Loads of games and things like that, because it's a holiday let, so there's loads of activities and games. So Steve said that he was washing up and he thought, oh, I'll go on out and do a bit of sky watching, because we did like doing a bit of sky watching, because somebody that we shared a house with was completely obsessed with UFOs, so we used to do that just because of John. And not the same John who was with us, a different John. So he said, oh, it's cloud, he said he thought to himself, oh, it's cloudy, so he won't bother. And then he thought, well, surely they'd use cloud as a cover. So thinking that, he goes outside to look at the sky, and lo and behold sees this light really far. I don't even know how he saw it. It was that far away and that tiny. Just this little flicker, like, when he shouted me outside and he pointed to it, and I just honestly couldn't see it for, I don't know how long. It was, a little while. And in the end, he stuck his arm out, and I had to look down his arm and look down his finger to see where he was actually pointing right at it. And then I saw it and I went, oh, it's lightning. He said, it's not, watch it. So I carried on watching it, and it had a definite uniform pattern to it, and it was moving away from us to our right, which would be probably over towards Liverpool. And but it stopped and started moving towards us, and he remembers all that. He remembers how big it was. He's even said, it was at least a mile wide when it was coming towards us. The lights, it's hard to describe it because it's actually in the cloud, but it's at the bottom of the cloud. So it's only just inside the cloud. And the light was rippling outwards. So it was moving kind of like in bursts and ripples, from where it was in the centre of the cloud, moving out sideways and towards us. So it was kind of like a pinky, greeny, yellowy, different, sort of hues in it. So he remembers all that, and he remembers going in, and he remembers going to the toilet, and he said that there was a fly on the bath, on the side of the bath, and it was just sat there, and he touched it, and he pushed it backwards, and it just walked back forwards, and he pushed it backwards, and he was really freaked out by this fly had blown off. What? Yeah, so we think maybe that there was some sort of energy damper put on, because he also remembers that the sheep in the field outside the house, beyond the garden, they were all lying down. I remembered that. Now, sheep are really skittish. They will run at the slightest thing, So we'd watched this thing coming towards us and zigzag towards us, which is what Steve recalls as well. And it being over the field in front of the house when underneath it all the sheep were lying down and quiet. And then it kind of just drifted really, really slowly until it was right over the top of us, literally, where we had to throw our heads backwards to look up. He remembers all of that. He remembers he didn't remember the sphere until last time I saw him, and he said, I remember it. He said, I remember it now. Because he was stood on I don't know if it was like the septic tank. They have them concrete lids, and they have the metal sort of doors on the top of them. It was something like that next to the house. And I should imagine it was a septic tank because of the locality. It was just in the middle of nowhere. So he stood on this, and he's got his back to the house. I'm facing away from him. I'm facing towards the field where the craft is over the top of it. So he's behind, but to my right. And it was directly behind me was the sphere when it was on the ground. We didn't see it land. He didn't see it land. He doesn't remember seeing anything at all apart from the strobe and then the dull flashing light. That's the point where he said that he started to get nervous. The rest of us, me and Daniel weren't nervous. We were just staring at this thing and in awe. John was freaking out. He said it was the Aurora Borealis. And I said, through clouds in Wales? I don't think so. Then he'd taken Joseph, who was Daniel's little lad, and was in the woodshed, just in the doorway. And when my son said that a hand had come through the hedge and touched his foot, he said it wasn't his imagination, that he really saw it with his eyes. And so I turned to Steve and said, well, the kids are getting scared now. So we took them back inside. But as we were walking back towards the house, we found John with Joseph, and he was hacking into a door frame with an axe, with his back to everything. Saying to Joseph, this is how we chop the wood. And so that was really surreal. Because there was loads of wood around that he could have been chopping, do you know what I mean? So it was bizarre. Anyway, we all went inside with the kids, and John and Daniel just went back into the living room to watch TV. And Steve went back to the sink. So and the kids went back to the bottom of the stairs where they were playing when I came down. You know, and Steve remembers all that. And he said to me, you know, and I said, I went back outside again on my own like an absolute idiot. Nobody said, don't go out there on your own, you idiot. You know,
the first rule of film that is like, don't do it!
Every horror film starts
Yes!
Yeah, why would you go in there with no lights on? Yeah.
because I'm an idiot and I do that, you know, I'll go into a haunted house. Like, hello! We're here to help! Like, we don't even know what's in there. So, you know, I'm just an idiot, but it never occurred to me that there was any danger to this or anything. I was still in awe, and I was like laughing with, you know, I was incredulous. That is a really good word to describe how I was, what state I was in. And, yeah, it was just absolutely insane. So I stood outside underneath this thing, right underneath it again, like, oh my God. It still turns my blood cold. So something, I heard footsteps running up behind me, and it was fast, short steps, this was not a man running towards me. This was not, you know, I could have believed it was a child, but it was not anybody or a sheep or anything, because I heard the slapping feet on this mud, and it wasn't a sheep or anything, and the sheep wouldn't run towards me, it would run away from me. There was no way that a sheep, maybe a ram might come and the backside or something, but there was a wall right next to me on my left, so this, whatever it was, ran by me so close, it literally dragged my clothes with it. But there was nowhere for it to go, because I was stood literally 4 inches from a wall. I should have heard it bump into the wall, but I didn't. And from that point, I don't really know what happened. I was just running, and I was blind. I'd gone blind, panic. Couldn't see anything at all. Literally everything was black. And leapt as like I wanted to do a bionic woman leap from where I was to get to the house. I was literally trying to get there that quick. It just felt like forever. There's nothing in it. And, you know, when you're running like that, every step is really hard. Everything seems really slow, like you're not moving fast enough. It's torture. So I jumped into the kitchen and saw that the kids were there, and so I just sort of froze because I didn't know what to do. Because I wanted to tell him, but I didn't want to tell him because I didn't want to freak the kids out. So I sort of stood there trembling. And then I told him really, really quietly, sort of through gritted teeth. And he just turned to the cooker and looked at the clock and said, well, you haven't had any missing time because you haven't been out there that long. And I was just like, ping, brain broke. I was like, don't care, shut the door, shut the curtains, like, you know, like barricade, batten down the hatches. I was freaking out completely. He remembers all of it.
Can I remember when you wrote about this, Sacha, in your blog, and if you don't mind, I just want to, there's like a line that jumped out because it's a personal, it kind of resonated with me, but I will explain in a minute why. Forgive me if I just quote here. Hypnosis is dangerous. How would you cope with other memories if you can't cope with the memories you have? I certainly do not wish to traumatize myself again. Is that still the case?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, weirdly, Steve wants to do hypnosis.
Yeah.
We did go to this convention thing in Leeds. Somebody that I know was doing this convention. He's a hypnotherapist. I was interested in it. You know, hypnotherapy itself. It's like I've never really come across. You know, I don't really know a lot about it. But I know that more memories, when you don't know what to do with the memories that you've got, can't be a good thing. But when I was interested, Steve wants to do it. He wants to, you know if anything else happened to us. So we tried. I wasn't relaxed. I was in a hotel. There's loads of people milling about. There's noises and all this kind of distractions. And I just went through my recollection, and I was totally like I am now, you know what I mean? There was no relax. I didn't go under, whatever that means. Neither did Steve.
Yeah, I'm nodding with you.
I don't think I can.
You can.
I don't think I can let anybody in my head for a start off, because I'm a total control freak. But I'm frightened of
what may emerge.
If anything has happened to us. I don't really know what I can do with that information. And I've had abductions as well, and the memories that I've got of them, they're just terrific. You know, I've been talking to somebody recently, Deb Hatswell, been doing some shows with her and my friend Paula Green. You know, I had a complete meltdown after one of them.
No, good grief.
Because me and Paula, we had an experience together, and she told somebody else it. Now, me and Paula talk to each other about it all the time. But she was telling someone else, and I was listening to her tell someone else, and so her version of it is all about me. So, apart from the bit where she gets abducted, but she can see me, she can see that I've been immobilised, she can see that I can't move my arms. All I can do is move my head and use my expressions to tell her something's behind her, and it's really difficult hearing about yourself being, you know, controlled that way. It's too much. So yeah, I had a meltdown. So I'm not okay with it. All those people out there are okay with it. I'm not okay with this. You know, I'm not okay with these actual monsters coming into my house and messing with the children. Who would be all right with that? If you're all right with that, I'm sorry, there's something wrong with you.
The reason I sort of the hypnotism struck a chord years and years ago, my dad used to do session organ. So he'd go and play at hotels and so on. And one of the chaps he used to work for was a hypnotist. And it was called Richard Lord Payne. If you type in hypnotist 1949 into Pathé News, that's the chap who I worked for, my dad worked for. So I've always had an interest in it. I've watched what this, I mean, he's passed away now. And weirdly enough, he lived in Wales. At birth, nowhere near the incident, by the way. But it's an interesting, where do you start? So, is it real? Is it not real? There's part of me thinking, yes, but I do agree with you. There are certain people who cannot be hypnotised because they just can't. And rightly so. You don't know what you're going to uncover. I mean, look at Alan Godfrey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like open can worms. Bye! You're like, oh my god. You know, if you can remember some of the stuff without it, you're like, do you really want to go there? No. I really do understand where you're coming from. But it's an interesting subject because it's like, there's part of me that's like, yeah, do it, but the other part's, no, don't do it.
I've had other experiences, and those memories are, you know, can't access them. You know, there's bits, like in 2012, I don't know what it was, the Greys interfering with us for months. And I never used to believe people who said, oh, they come every night. Well, they didn't come every night, but they were coming a lot, and they came, like, it was January the 16th, I remember my night, and then in May, my son, who was 4 at the time, told me about that night. But when I pieced it together and I figured out what he was saying and you know, the whole thing, I was like, hang on a minute, that happened in January. That happened 4 months ago. Why is he telling me about that now?
Silly question, and you've probably done this anyway. Have you written this all down? Has everybody else concerned? Have you sort of written what you remember down at all? Or just
immediately to Joe Montaldo, you know, I used to tell him all the stuff that was happening to me. So I've got those emails, but
that's good.
Not a great deal. But, you know, the thing is that I had a lot of people in my life that were there when it all happened. And Paula came into my life around about that time, and, you know, he was only little, and he's walking, and everyone that had experiences, like Swipes and Paula, and Kelly and whoever, you know, he'd go up to him and he'd go, do you see the aliens? Do you see the aliens? But he wouldn't mention it to people who hadn't had anything happen to them. It was really weird. And then there was, when we came over to Liverpool one day, and we were up in Dave's house, and he said something about them, and we thought every time he brought them up, we'd have a little conversation about it. And if I tried to bring it up, he didn't want to talk about it. And then he said something about them talking to him, and I said, "What? Why? What? Can they talk?" And he sort of shook his head, and he went, "They haven't got mouths." like I was stupid. And then I said, so, but you can understand them, and he sort of nodded. I said, but what do they sound like? And he just made this like buzzing, tweeting kind of noise. It was really weird. A bit like a bee and a bit like the birds and the bees. And then he just like jumped off where we were sat and just went, can I have a packet of crisps? Like that was it, the end of the conversation. But, so I've got loads of witnesses and I've talked about it the whole time, but no, I've never written about it. I don't like write. You know, it took 20 odd years for me to write that blog, and I was a mess after it. No, the people don't understand how traumatic it is.
After reading it, it's like I said, there was various bits that resonated with me. Obviously the hypnotism part, but it was like, I think sometimes it takes an awful lot to stand on a stage, and I've always said this, anybody who can stand and go, right, I'm going to talk about ufology or my experience or the ghost or da-da-da-da-da-da. To me, you just get points, 100,000 points for actually doing it. At the end of the day, you're doing what's right for you. If people believe you, fantastic. But if people don't, that's when you... I remember having... I think it might have been one of the shows with David actually, and I said, okay, we're on a stage, right, and I've got Paul the alien. Okay, we know he's real, but anybody else watching that, because you'd have like a barrier at the front, I said you could do it, you know, because of all the seat. And he's real, but everybody would be like, oh, it's fake, we've recorded it, and you dim the lights, and there's so many people that are so ready to dismiss and not believe. I know I've seen weird ass crap I cannot explain. And then some. And then it's, oh, do you see dead people? And yes, it, you know, I do say it as a bit of a joke. It's fantastic. You know, they wave at me at funerals. Brilliant. Not.
Mind you, I bet there's, in every audience, I bet there's going to be someone, there's going to be a few people sitting out there that don't believe what you're coming out with, even if they've paid to come and see you.
I don't believe everybody, everything that everyone says.
Yeah. There's the flip side, as much as I've been in an old building, and I love my heritage, I love my history, as you all know, and there's part of me that I think, you're making some of this up, you want to make it fit. Why? Some TV programmes, which shall not be mentioned, it's like Voldemort, or the YouTube channels, we've seen an orb! Really? Okay. So all the ghosts speak perfect English, and they come out at 3 a.m. in the morning. Do they have a handbook? But you get my point. Or it's people, I mean, it's like with the photography, I've got stuff on camera that I can't explain. And it, you know, from 15, 20 years ago, I hadn't learned how to use Photoshop. There are things that I could go, yeah, this is how you do the orbs and the this and the that, and you have a fag in your hand. Easy to do, but there's other stuff. Pareidolia. Yeah, I can't speak. I can't pronounce it. You know what I mean?
Earlier.
That. Or you get various people who are quite well known within the, I want to say industry, within the genre, shall we say, who go, and I saw this at the conference, and I've got that, and I'm thinking, no, that's dust particles and the light reflection. There's part of me with the photography side that goes,
but some of those orbs have got an actual life force.
Yeah.
They have a pulsing light of their own, and they travel slowly and with intelligence. They're not carried on, you know, an upright.
Oh, good grief. But I hate it when people post stuff.
It's very contentious, isn't it? I mean,
a
lot
my.
Yeah, I'd agree with Sacha there. I do think that some of those orbs are actually real things, you know, because I've taken loads of pictures in, like, Rendlesham Forest, for instance, and most of them come out just black. And then all of a sudden you'll get 3 or 4 that will come out with all these orbs and things, you know, if there was nothing in these orbs, wouldn't all your pictures come out with all these dust particles and moisture particles and everything?
Well, I've got astigmatism in my eyes, and when I'm sat right in the far corner of my sofa and I look out the side window, the living room with the bay window, I can see a street light, but it's on the street going upwards away from me, so it's quite a distance. And I'm looking at it now because I've shuffled over. So with my astigmatism, I'm not wearing my glasses that looks identical to an orb. You know, when they have all the little, like a sort of snowflake edges and the circle in the middle. That's exactly like an orb comes out. And it's just It's distorted, that light, and it just looks like one of those typical orbs that's just a particular.
Yeah, you do get those. Obviously, you get sort of lens flare and reflections and things like that as well, which you can obviously you can tell often because you can see by the direction of the sun. Well, that's obviously a reflection. But I'll tell you what I was interested. Oh, sorry, I was going to go off on another tangent.
I agree. The stuff I've got on camera, and I'm like, what the hell have I got?
Yeah.
Is it an orb? Is it this? Is it that? But there's other stuff, and I hate it when people post on social media and they circle. It's this. You're like, look, I want to find it for myself. Stop circling it in red.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, remember when we lived at Cherry Trees, Sacha? Jill went out and took a couple of pictures of from the gate back to our place.
Yeah.
And she took 2 photos at night because we had the, Christmas lights on. One of them came out with like a mist in it, and the other one was just completely clear.
Yeah.
And that was really weird because there was no mist or she doesn't smoke or anything like that. So that was quite a strange thing. And obviously, as you know, you've seen a lot of pictures what Brenda Butler's taken and others have taken in Rendlesham Forest, with strange misty shapes like that, also.
Oh, actually, I went to the forest with Brenda Butler. I think it was the first time I went with her. And there was a guy, Steve, and he took a picture of me, and I was stood on that mound, there's a clearing and a mound. And I was stood on there, and he said, Tasha, come look at this. And we were getting those weird mists. It's like you take a picture, there's nothing there, and all of a sudden there's a weird mist, and then there's nothing. It's like, well, where's it gone? But anyway,
normally you can't see it at all, only in the picture.
No, you can't see it, no, there's nothing, you don't. But anyway, this mist that was above my head looked exactly like the spiral galaxy, the spiral arms coming up there. I was like, bloody hell, what's that? Why is it just above my head?
Well, it's some of the shapes and the faces you get in these mists as well. They all seem to have some sort of a strange shape in them, don't they? But
yeah.
What I was going to go on to your experience. You are psychic rather, aren't you? And you've got a bit witchy, I would say. I don't know if that's the right term to use. Were you like that before your experience, or do you feel that experience may have?
All my life.
It was. So you're already like that. I wondered if your experience might have enhanced it or something.
Maybe it did, I don't know, but I've always had this thing going on where I've had weird experiences. Oh my God, I've been scared after death loads and loads of times, especially as a kid. When I was probably about 6, I saw a UFO. I didn't think it was a UFO. It was only sort of like within the past 10 years I sort of thought, oh God, actually, yeah. That wasn't an acorn hanging in the sky.
Well, it's the same as I had, with a kid. I was sitting on the steps, so I told you about that, didn't I? And it was at the time you think, it's just a star moving, so it's the same type of thing. It's only later on you realise, well, stars don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I saw my grandparents together when I was 10. And we had the ghost thing, the cloggy, when I was 10. All the bits and bobs, a lot of strange feelings, waking up in the middle of the night, absolutely terrified, didn't look to my left. Also, we lived in a cottage that was 300 years old at the time. It's 350 years old now. And I wanted to go to the toilet, but I looked down at the floor and I could see all these like really fat snakes, black snakes moving across the floor and going through the wall. So I didn't get out of bed. What else? My mum said she saw all these fluorescent green, like spirals. She said like a pig's tail, all in the bedroom, just all hung in midair. And then when I was probably about, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8, I went in the bathroom, don't know why, and just stared in the mirror in the dark and looked right into my eyes, and my face changed loads and loads of times. Stopped on this old man, and he had a beard, and like I can still see him so clearly now, really wrinkled round his eyes. He had a beard, a thin white tash and like goatee, and his hair, he was bald, but he had a bit of hair at the sides, and he had a white like grandad shirt on with a black bootlace bow, his neck, really detailed. I absolutely crapped myself and legged it. I didn't dare go in that bathroom on my own for ages.
In fact, talking about that now, do you remember when Frank came to ours with you, and that experience we had with Frank Willis we're talking about, that transfiguration that he did was absolutely amazing, wasn't it? You saw it too.
It was nuts. I've only seen one person doing that before. I'm not going to mention names, but I think he was as fake as my Christmas tree. It was all lighting, using blue and red lighting and shadow. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. But Frank was just sat in your living room, and he went into his meditation, and it was like I'm facing him, so my right it'll be his left. There was like this yellow that was protruding out of the side of his face. It was like he'd moved over, and from my left, which will be his right, sort of swimming, and it wasn't like his face changed. It was like faces were coming over the top of his face.
Yeah, I agree.
And then sliding off to the right. So it was like, I saw a black guy, I saw a Chinese guy, I saw a man with his bottom lip ripped off. So I could see all his teeth.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I did see his because I mean, Frank's being kind, Frank's got quite a battered nose, hasn't he? But his nose actually straightened out and was longer, wasn't it?
Yeah, his hair was white, it was like bushy curly. And it wasn't his face at all because it was so wide. Frank's got quite a thin face. Then there was a black guy, the Chinese guy. But you see, I'd gone out onto your back deck, and I was getting a creepy feeling in that tree line. And I felt like there was loads of people stood next to me on that bit that, that was concreted, that must have had a shed or something on it.
Yeah, I think I remember you saying that,
Yeah, I just felt like it was really busy. And then later on, Frank said something about, there's been a load of people out on that bit there, and he said something about people in the trees. I was like, oh my God. So we both picked up on that, so I don't know what that was, but I think those people were outside because we were there, and they must have known that Frank was going to do his thing. But the most interesting thing about all of that was this, like, across his stomach and his chest, it was like looking at choppy water, but it was like a kind of lit, like, phosphorescence almost. Wavy energy across his stomach. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it.
No, I haven't. I mean, obviously, all three of us, I mean, Jill, my wife, Jill saw it as well. And we all saw the same. I mean, I thought I was going to sit there and not see anything. But, the incredulous, it must have showed on my face that the incredulous, because I mean, he sat there for about probably a good 15 minutes, didn't he? Before, just completely silent, completely still.
Yeah.
It didn't sort of just manifest in sort of 5 minutes. It took quite a while, but I was actually blown away by it. I'm hoping he'll do it again one day.
Well, you know me, I would have just, if I had not seen anything, I'd just said it. I'd just said I had not seen anything. But I did, and, I'm not one for bigging up fakes. Frank's not a fake, no chuffing way.
No.
I've watched him at Probe a couple of years ago, and obviously taking pictures. And when I was looking at, why's GoldenEye? And I went up and I showed him the pictures, and I did different angles. I used my iPhone, I used my proper camera, and then went up and then talked to him, and it was like, yes. And I'm watching, and I'm thinking, what the hell's happening to his face?
Yeah, several people have said that.
It's weird.
There's been transfiguration while he's been talking. I've heard that before.
It's odd. It's very peculiar to watch. It was weird and wonderful to watch, but afterwards, and he just sort of, where he sort of smiles and goes, yeah, that's what he said. It was like, okay, cool. I remember just standing and thinking, no, it's not me. That's really cool. But it was a fascinating thing to watch.
He is, yeah. He's very knowledgeable as well, Frank. He's been on this show a couple of times before. He did one with you and me, didn't he, Sacha? And he's done a couple, I'm not sure he's done one or two before that. But if anyone's listening to this and want to backtrack over some of the older shows, you'll find the shows that I did with Frank. They were really good.
Yeah, as well. We didn't get to talk. We didn't end up talking about what we were going to talk about.
Yeah, I know. It always goes that way, doesn't it?
I'll have to hit him up again and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to talk about Chi. I was really into Kung Fu, and Frank's I was going to say Taekwondo. He's not Taekwondo, it's Tai Chi. he's a kung fu master anyway. World record breaking, chopstick smashing.
Yeah. Guinness World Records. Yeah, I mean, anyone listening to this can check him out on YouTube. Frank Willis, Guinness World Champion. You'll see him in action.
Yeah.
Was it a great big pile of roof tiles he smashes as well, doesn't he?
Concrete slabs of some sort. I think he smashed 19 with one palm strike.
Yeah. It took a couple of attempts because it was a balance issue, wasn't it, and all that. But it's absolutely amazing how his fist just goes through like butter, doesn't it? It's unbelievable.
It's amazing this kung fu though. It's just an amazing thing. It's just astonishing. I watched my kung fu master who picked up a vase and he held it in one hand in the air with his fingertips at the top, and he tapped it with his fingertips and the bit facing him. And the pot at the other side broke off. So he hit one side of it, the energy went through and blew the back end of the pot. So the pot split in two. It was nuts. He threw chopsticks and he threw them at the wall. It was like, like plasterboarding. It was like that, but he threw it and he said, "You have offended my family." And he threw the chopstick and he went straight through this plasterboarding. It's like, whoa, to have that much power, amazing. I mean,
obviously, that is a thing called chi, and nobody really knows what it is, do they? It's just some sort of I don't know if is it a paranormal power, or is it
No. Even the paranormal is just unexplained normal,
Yeah.
It's not anything like abnormal. We're just told it's abnormal. So
I think the thing is, until you actually see it in action, it's one of those things you can't explain, isn't it?
No, it's just amazing. Like we used to spend time. It sounds really easy, punching candle flames out. So what you do is it's like a reverse energy. So you're punching through the candle, but your energy is going through the candle, and then when you pull your fist back, it creates a vacuum and it puts the flame out. So you try and put a candle flame out by flapping your arm on it will go out. So it's not that. It's literally a life force that comes back. Because you don't ever hit the thing. You're actually wanting to hit beyond the thing. So if it's a person, you're not just going to end at their chest. You want to push through the chest. You want to stop them. So it is literally... it's an astonishing thing to see. And I can't do it now because my arms are absolutely useless, but I used to be able to do that and put candle flames out with a punch.
Yeah, talk about candle flames. Now, when you have a séance, for instance, I mean, if nobody's experienced it, we used to do séances and we had a candle going, and we could actually ask the spirit to move the candle, so have the candle flame go up and down. Yeah. And you've probably done that as well yourself. And until you actually see that, you think, is it your imagination or, but it's done so many times that, it goes beyond imagination,
Yeah, getting a candle flame to stretch upwards. So it's not flickering, it's not wind, it's not anything coming from the sides or people breathing on it when you're getting a flame to elongate.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean a flame, normally, if you watch a candle, it'll just stay at a constant shape, won't it, normally? It doesn't go up and down.
No, it'll pop about and then just steady itself again. But, like you say, when you're getting a flame to stretch higher, or they're doing it, yeah, that is really something to behold. You can't do that by waving your arms about or breathing.
So now, Juliette, your experience, have you had any paranormal experiences at all, Juliette?
We'd need at least another 2 shows.
Hey?
And I mean, I'm sort of... well, I don't really talk about them, do I?
No, this is why I'm trying to get it out of you now.
Yeah, I don't think we've got another 2 to 3 hours because everybody will be asleep and going, crash, she's boring.
Well, just give us a little potty, you can do a few minutes, give us a sample of...
Potted example. Interesting, going back to when, Sacha, you were talking about mirrors. I've got a thing about, I like mirrors, but I don't like mirrors. And you're laughing because I think you know why and probably what I'm going to say. It seems like, let's say Bloody Mary and say, no, let's not do that.
Candyman.
Candyman. Beetlejuice!
Now, behave yourself, Gil.
Oh no, don't say the third time.
Let me get my sandworm. Mirrors are intriguing. Have you ever sort of looked, it's like you say, when you look into a mirror, and it's like if your face changes, you know, and then we sort of talked about, right, that's a weird thing to happen. You've got so many things you could do. You could just have a weird ass program about mirrors, you know, can it trap a lost soul? Can you trap somebody in it? You know, don't have one next to your bed, it steals your soul. Do things come in, do things come out? Is it a different realm? It's just like, you know, some of the stuff, like if I look in the mirror, my parents have one in the hallway, and I never liked it at night. I didn't like looking at it. And it was like, why? And I said, well, there's something behind me by the door. What do you mean? Mum, fantastic, wonderful, used to do tarot, blah, blah, blah. Dad, nothing there. And so,
My dad's like that as well.
until he saw something. And even to this day, and I asked him, I think it was before Christmas, I said, Dad, yes, Juliette, do you still look over the landing? Because you've got like a landing bit, and then you've got sort of like 2 stairs, and then you're on like the upper bit. And he says, yes, I still look over towards the door. Dad, what do you see? Shut up, Juliette. Because there's a lovely lady, and I've written about this for magazine Haunted, so that's coming out at some point, you know, and it was the woman who lived there before with her husband, and she was a mischievous lady. She'd poke you, but she'd do things like in the bathroom, in the bedroom I used to sleep in was her bedroom, and her husband's, and it was just, you know, when you look sometimes out of the corner of your eye, because I was sort of laughing when you were saying that, and it was like, yeah, okay, yeah, what can I see? I felt safer outside in the dark than I did in the house. It's a peculiar thing to try. You get it. Mirrors.
Yeah. I wasn't looking out of the corner of my eye, I was looking right in my own eyes, thinking that the weirdo was.
Oh, changing colour. Changing eye colour. But again, that's...
No, the light wasn't even on.
Weird.
I know.
I've had somebody...
I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I feel like something possessed me to do it, like, you know.
Oh, it's like when, you know, like, last dog, Christie, she'd just stare, and it was like, what the hell are you staring at? I used to have this big house on Whitegate Drive in Blackpool. It was opposite a graveyard. And one evening, my other half, under the curtains, and it was like, and the dog's barking, Christie's barking. It was like, bloody hell are you to do? There's a man with a top hat. You are. So I got up, put a dressing gown on. It was just like, there's nobody there. There is. My other half doesn't believe in this sort of thing. I thought, all right, okay. Went back to bed. Dog gets me up again, and it was just like, why? And then I kept seeing things. I kept hearing somebody on the landing, and then seeing something in the mirror. It's like, do they follow me? Do I follow them? Do I have an entourage? I don't know. Should I write this down? Yes. I've started to write this down just to do it. There was something I was
watching the other day, and both of them were doing it.
Right.
Like someone was zooming around the room, and then they just stared at the spot next to me on the sofa. Looked at my son, I was like, oh my god, what are they looking at?
Trying to explain this to somebody, it's like at work, we have team meetings, so they're all chatting, it gets to a Friday, oh, what are you doing this weekend? Yes, I'm going to take pictures of buildings that are going to be torn down. And there was one, and it's now a car park, they're regenerating, and in 1905, Houdini actually appeared there. And I jokingly said on this YouTube video, and I said, well, he appeared, etc. I said, wouldn't it be great if he haunted the car park? I meant it as a you-know-what take.
Yeah.
And then a week later, somebody else who shall remain nameless, because he won't listen to this anyway.
How'd you know?
Did a car... no, I'm not going to make it. Did a YouTube video, right? Oh, and the car park's haunted. By Houdini. And I'm like, no. I'm going to have fun with this. But it annoys me because I was being genuinely like, this is what happened here. These are the people who've gigged here. This is an interesting building. Da, 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 da. But I can discuss it at work. Well, I'm working from home, but it's like, nobody's interested. Why would they be? Oh yeah.
I think more people have got a story.
I love things like this. It's fascinating. And to me, if I can get some local history out of it, it's like, wow. You know, I look into it, it's like a lot of people go, oh yeah, the Pleasure. I said, yeah, but do you know the history behind it and what was there before? No. And I was explaining to this really sweet chap I know called Joey, and he's like, have you researched this? Oh, ghost train, you know. I said, this is the history of the actual, I said, yeah, you've got ley lines, you've got this, I said, David Icke mentioned, does he? I said, yeah, look, here's a link. See, I research stuff, like other people in the town. Anyway, does it annoy you? And I'm going slightly up, does it annoy you when people don't do research properly? It annoys the hell out of me.
Well, it can do in certain circumstances, but at the end of the day, like, people are only interested in what they're interested in, and they only believe what they believe. And if people don't believe me, then I understand why, you know, and if they do, you know, quite often, obviously, because the circles are moving. But I'll find that, you know, like, my friend Linda down the road, she was like, oh, Sacha, oh my God, Jamie's just seen a little boy upstairs and he just vanished. I was like, do you want me to do what about it? She's like, well, if it happens again, yeah.
If it happens again. I mean, the lady at my parents' house is still there. She's not as active as she used to be, but if I had friends staying over, she pulled the bed covers back. And do you remember the old door handles you used to get, like in the 1930s, 40s houses, the round ones?
Yeah.
Rattle, rattle.
Yeah.
And you get I'm going to have to get up and do this as an example, and then you get...
I've had loads of that all my life.
And
noises.
And you think, the rational part of your head goes, it's the pipes. And then you look around and you think, no, it's not the pipes. Or you think it's such and such a body in the house. No, you're there by yourself. And then you look at the dog or the cat. It's you, isn't it? And they look at you and go, no, can't you see it? I can see it. Why can't you see it? You know what it is. But the rational part of you is going, dun, 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 dun. Now I'm older, I just go, yeah, this is me. This is what's happened. If you like it, fantastic. You want to talk about it, even better. If you don't,
people talk to you anyway, like, you know, because I had a neighbour one.
Oh my
I
God.
was writing for UFO Data magazine, and she came outside. We were all outside sunny day. She didn't know me from Adam, really. We all like said hello, nice, polite, sort of neighbourly kind of interaction. And then this day she went, do you know, me and my son saw 7 UFOs go over the top of us. And I was just
right.
what? I said, do you know what I do? She went, no, what? I said, I write for a UFO magazine. She went, do you? Wow. She went, Simon. And he comes out and she went, tell her about that day when we saw 7 UFOs. I was like, why did you think to tell me?
You obviously have a sign.
This just tells everybody, like I used to. Do you know, I'm an insane person now because of this.
I think you've actually got a good point. Have you ever found sometimes that, you know, if you, obviously this is pre-COVID and all this mess going on, if you went somewhere and then you just get random people that would just talk to you?
Yeah.
I get that now when I go and do the photography.
Get people's life stories, me.
And they'd be like, hello. And I was, it's not like I'm sort of dressed incognito. I wear the most ridiculous outfits, fluffy hats, fedoras. Yeah, I'm really easy to
I've seen some of your photos.
There you go. You know, it's, Jesus Christ, what's you wearing now? Bloody hell. But I like the warmth. I like the comfort. Yeah. But I'll talk to him. There was like a building near the prom, really old pub, and it was leaning towards the road, and the people were just coming up and chatting about the memories, and then somebody said, you did know it was haunted? Really? Tell me more. But again, I didn't instigate it, so I think obviously we have invisible signs above our head that say, this is the subject matter you can discuss with this individual you don't know. This one likes ghosts, this one likes UFOs. This one will talk about conspiracy theories. This one smells of poo. This one eats eggs. This one has blue teeth. You all have signs. It's just that other people.
I'll tell you what, the funny thing happened today. I was outside I've been painting the front of the house. And my next door neighbour was actually talking to another neighbour coming along the street. And they were standing outside his gate. And all of a sudden he started talking about shapeshifters. I said, my ears pricked up. I thought, and he was talking about, what's her name? Now when you see like some of the YouTube videos and their eyes change and everything like that, and they were talking about that. And I was dying to sort of think, I know a bit about them, you know, but I didn't. I didn't sort of interlope or get in, but I thought, isn't that strange, you know, that someone that you live next door to, or suddenly starts talking about shapeshifters, you know?
Yeah.
Sign. Big blue sign above your house.
Yeah, well, I did say to him, I said to him, I did have a chat with him after. I said, you know what, I do a show up in that room there, I said, called Paranormal Dimensions. I said, I've spoken about this sort of thing quite a lot. It's, you know, it was quite weird, that was.
I'm a shapeshifter. I'm a different shape now than I was at before lockdown.
No, I think we all are.
You've seen my hair, lockdown hair. It's great. I had a fringe. The fringe is now at my chin.
Oh
level.
yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll get that every day from Jill. She's dying to get her hair cut and done and all that, and because she's still got to wait till now for another month. So she's beginning to look a bit like the wild man from Borneo. Oh no, that's me. It's no, she's.
So you got the swish beard going on there.
Yeah, that's my that's my face covering that I grew. Yeah.
True, I can't grow a beard anymore, but you know, these things happen. Sacha, can I ask a question? Now, I remember listening when you used to do your radio. Are you going to do that again, or are you going to go with the YouTube things, or are you like?
It was like 52 shows a year. I was like, is there really 52 people that I actually want to spend time talking to on the scene? There are, but most of them, they go, oh, no, I don't do anything like that. Why not? You're so bloody interesting. You ought to be doing this. It's a shame that all that information is just in your head. You fool. Speak about it. Oh, no, you won't get me on that. Oh, no.
Well, this is show number 105.
Yeah, well, I'm just too erratic, too flaky. So what me and Paula have been doing, well, we did these abductee video diaries. So I've been doing a few bits with her and Deb Hatswell. And Deb kept saying, you two should have your own show. And I was like, well, we kind of have. But we did all this like 10 weeks talking about abductions, and then I lost the plot again. Well, I don't lose the plot, but I have an emotional reaction to it. It disturbs me, you know what I mean? It's PTSD. I can't help that. So I do all this stuff, and then I go, oh my god, I need a break. And then it takes me years together.
You can go back to it.
David!
I have heard you described as the hinge and bracket of ufology, but. Oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry.
No,
who's hinge, who's bracket? I've seen them live. Jesus Christ. They've had no? Yes. Tell you what, they were fantastic. My parents took me to see them at the Grand Theatre in Blackpool, and I was like 8, 9. We're going to see Hinge and Bracket. Me, what? You know, didn't get half of the jokes. Yeah. But they were absolutely fantastic. But people of a certain age, when I go, yeah, I've seen them live, and they go, really? And I go, yes.
How old are you?
How old are you? Bloody old, it's the embalming fluid. But then again, I've met some oh god. And I think I've said this in one of the shows, and I said, you know what I've met? Go on. Jimmy Savile. I was 3, so luckily I wasn't old enough.
That's a claim to fame.
Oh no, it gets worse. It gets worse. Stuart Hall. He did It's the Knockout.
Yeah, I used to love him on that.
Yeah. It's the Knockout used to do the news. And Rolf Harris.
Rolf Harris, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Wow.
I know, all three, and I remember putting this one as a Facebook status, and I thought, I'm taking this one down. But it was quite a genuine, I didn't mean it as a braggy thing, it was more of I was the wrong age with every single, thank God. But it was so weird.
They were massive disappointments to everyone, weren't they? You know, it's,
I went to see Rolf Harris in a gig in Lancaster, and the odd thing was, the gig was actually quite good, I hate to admit.
Well, it was a great entertainer, great artist.
It was.
You know, it's just unfortunate that these people have got such dark things inside of them.
Jimmy Savile, I was about, how old was it, 2.5, and I was sat on my dad's shoulders. They used to do like the taxi thing to Blackpool, and there's some cine film of this somewhere, which I think my dad still got. And he says, do you remember? I said, yeah. He says, you were sat, I said, yeah, I was sat on your shoulders. He said, the closer I got, he says, you just started to scream and scream. He said, why? And I said, I just didn't like him. There was something I just didn't like about him. I'm 2.5. I mean, why would I know this?
I don't know what the truth of it is, but we're talking about the paranormal here, and I've actually heard that they had reptilians controlling them. All the, you know, I don't know how you feel about that, Sacha.
I hate all that. Doesn't it?
It's the cat.
I just think it's rubbish. I just think
you
it's so rubbish.
That's why I'm asking you seriously. I mean, I have heard this description that somebody looked through Jimmy Savile. Oh no, Jimmy Savile looked through somebody's window once, and they actually thought they saw a reptilian looking in. You know, this is just one of the descriptions that I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not. You know,
not read that one.
I'm taking it with a giant bag of salt.
But I mean, when you do hear about reptilians controlling the other, you know, from the other side, from a different dimension.
Being controlled by them. They switch you off. They don't, you know, so that they can do whatever they want to do. What they want to do is experience life. So they want you to agree to let them travel inside you so that they can experience what you experience. You know, I mean, I would not be surprised if there are people who've agreed to do this in, you know, upper echelons of society, because they want to experience everything, don't they? They don't want to just experience, like, you know, people like me. They want to experience people who've got it all going on, you know?
Yeah, it's just that I'm not that sensitive that I can sort of see them but I mean, Frank, for instance, says he can sense them and see them. I think there's been several other people, but I mean, I've never been able, all I can go is by what people tell me.
When I did that last probe conference, I told Frank I wanted him there as my bodyguard. Because the first time I went to probe, that's when I saw the reptilians come out of Jason.
Right.
So I thought it was a blue aura around him, and then turned out, hang on a minute, it's not around him anymore, it's behind him. And then it was like a humanoid shape, but quite tall. And then in front of that, this little grey sparkly thing appeared, and then from that, this little black blob came. From the reptilian, the tall blue one, this blob dropped off it, and it dropped straight down, so it would have dropped just behind Jason, but it actually landed at my feet, and I was 12 feet away from Jason at least.
Was I there taking pictures, that one? I think I was, wasn't I?
106, don't know.
Probably. I would have been hiding in a ridiculous hat. David, aren't you glad you did this show now? You're like, Jesus Christ, these are talking a hindleg off a donkey.
yeah, of course I'm glad of it.
But it's good. It's good, you say. You should have done this earlier. I'm sorry, you know.
What, at 7 o'clock? Instead of 8 o'clock, you mean?
No! No, you daft sod.
No, I've always been going through my mind. I thought, well, if we could get you two on and talk about paranormal things in general, I thought it would be a good time. We can do it again as well. I think it's, this is part 1, we can do a part 2 sometime. Because I think there's lots more subjects out there we can talk about.
Definitely. We see us northern ladies, we're just fantastic, you see.
The Northerners, aye.
Yeah.
Stick together. You southerners.
Yeah, I'm a southerner.
Southerner.
But
It's okay.
So, I mean,
You can get pills.
because I mean, like, Sasha's had some amazing experiences. I've had one or two myself in the past, but not, I would say nothing as outstanding as what Sasha's experienced.
I don't think they're outstanding. I think they're terrifying, and I don't like it right.
No. I mean, mine...
You know? I'd be able to go to bed and feel safe.
Yeah. I mean, I told you about mine. I suppose I'd better talk about a little bit about one or two of mine. When I was a kid standing in my cot, with the cot up the side, and I think I told you about this, there was this purple mist came into the room and was swirling around the room, and I was screaming at it. Now, I didn't know what ghosts and things were then. I was probably, a year and a half, something like that, maybe 2, something like that. And I was screaming, and my dad came flying into the room. Not flying in, he came running into the room. That would have been weird. No, he came running
Very
in.
Harry Potter.
And I'm actually saying to him in baby talk, look, can't you see it? Or this purple mist flying around, and he couldn't see it. And I actually watched it, and it flew, and it swirled round and went back out of the room again. And I never knew what that was, but I sort of asked him sort of years later, do you remember that time when I told you about that purple? Because it almost stayed with me, I still remember it now.
Yeah, I remember.
And he said, yeah, I do remember that. And he said he couldn't see anything, But at that time, this house we were living in, it must have been around about that time that the lady who owned the house, she died around about that time. So whether that was her spirit coming around for a last look round or something, I don't know. But it's one of those things that sort of sticks with you all your life, and you think, well, what was that? What did that purple mist mean?
Yeah.
But I know it terrified me as a child. I mean, and I didn't know what ghosts were, so that's one of my little experiences.
Yeah, I think Andy Ramsdale had a similar one.
Did he?
Yeah, a black mist by the door in his house.
Yes, yeah, I remember him.
What?
He talked about it in the show we did.
As a child?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, did he say that on my
Yes.
one? Oh, yeah, the trouble is I've got so many things I have to remember. I've got a brain like a sieve, I'm unfortunate. But,
I remember
quite a lot,
random.
you see. So I remembered it because we've talked about it, personally. Like, we call each other sometimes and chat about everything. So, I remember because I've heard it a few times. He's told me on the show as well. And he's seen, I don't know if you've ever heard anyone talk about gold sparkly phenomena. Like, he had a gold sparkly wall. His wall went all gold sparkles.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember him saying about
I've
that.
seen gold sparkles myself. Paul has seen gold sparkles. Lisa Rostrand's seen gold sparkles. So it's like, what is this gold sparkly stuff?
Yeah, I can't say I've heard too much of that, but I do remember Andy saying that, describing that on the show that I did with him.
His whole wall was gold, but like, there was a weird moment that I had after, it's a bit of a long story, but anyway, so I was having this weird experience, and as my eyes were shut, but I could see, and it was, somebody was holding my hands, and their arms and my arms were this gold streaming energy. It was like they were putting this gold streaming energy into me, but it was golden sparkles. So in the same, this was happening with Jason and Anne Andrews, and I was at, it was something to do with them. And then when we were at Anne Andrews, Paula was there, and this grey tried to give her this, she said it looked like a balloon, but it wasn't a balloon, but it's the only way she can describe it, and it was made out of this gold sparkly stuff. She said that she wasn't going to take it. So, if you hear anybody talking about anything like that, if they will talk to me, because I know a lot of people won't because of the, Larry Warren stuff.
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned the name. Oh, no, that's right.
You're doing well there.
In the forefront of the head, so they don't talk to me because they've got some sort of bent out of shape loyalty. With a total liar. But, there is a bit of that around, so if they will talk to me, then I'm interested.
Well, talking about that, we've got the film coming soon. What's your opinion on that?
Apparently not. I put that post up, and then somebody came on and had just taken a screenshot about an hour before of Dion saying that it was in a very long post-production stage, so it's not coming out on May the 7th.
Oh, is it?
So it's had about 5 release dates now.
Wow. God, it's taken longer than Cleopatra to produce that, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh well, we shall carry on. Perhaps 2022, eh? If ever. But oh, well, that's interesting. I was all getting me hopes up that it was coming out in May now.
I think we've got a bit longer.
But yeah, that'd be interesting. Oh no, well I suppose should we leave it there then, girls, ladies,
Okay.
whatever you like.
Girls.
You like the girls?
I feel so young.
Girl.
But
Oh, sorry.
maybe,
It wasn't so
maybe we can do a part 2 sometime in a couple of months if you both like to come back.
Yeah, that'd be lovely, yeah. Nice one.
Perhaps we'll all be out of prison by then, and we can all talk about what we're getting up to and where we're going, and perhaps with some plans we've got coming up. And,
Ooh. I've got asked to join a ghost group.
oh, have you?
So that's...
Oh, well, we can
yeah.
talk about that. I mean, hopefully, I'm hoping to go on a few bits and pieces. Obviously, I'm hoping that we're all going to be meeting up in Hull as well in August,
Yeah.
which will be good.
Yeah, I got the date wrong as well. I do.
What is it?
apologise. It is August. It's actually the 21st to the 22nd of August.
The 21st to the 22nd.
And 22nd.
Right, of August. So anyone out there, it's the Hull Outer Limits Conference.
And hopefully Peter Robbins will be able to come over
Yeah,
and Jenny.
it'll be great seeing Peter again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I've not
and
seen
obviously the
Definitely.
Kinsellers and Paul Sinclair and lots of other people. Be great.
Yeah.
Should be quite a party, I should think. I hope.
You'd be able to meet Steve because he'll be there.
Yeah.
And Danya might
Well,
be there, even though she'll be on stage.
That's going to be excellent. I bet he'll be really nervous telling that story, but he'll have you. But of course,
not there, but he's not shy at all. He's an aerobics instructor,
that's
and
good.
he's like, "Come on, ladies!" and he's jumping about, waving his arms around and all. No, he's not shy. He's not shy. I should imagine he will be nervous, obviously. 'Cause
Yeah.
first time talking about something like that, but he's definitely not shy of being up in front of people.
Well, it should be brilliant. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But I was just looking forward to getting out on the road again, going somewhere.
Yeah.
Rather than down the town to the shops or something, and somewhere I can actually go and visit.
I know. I haven't seen my parents for well over a year. Yeah, Paula. I want to go see Paula. My friend, obviously, my experience, a friend, and then I want to go see my friend, Indigo Phoenix.
Yeah, I was talking to her the
Going
other
down to
day. I think she's going to come down because I've moved now, quite near to where not near, but a lot nearer to where we were before.
Far off, yeah.
So she's.
Well, I'm going to go down there for a week. I'm going to go down and see her and Dan, and yeah. So I might even be able to bob across and see her.
Yeah. Of course, you're always welcome. You know that. But
Yeah,
we'll do this again anyway. We'll plan a date for perhaps early summer or something. And see where we go from there. And obviously we'll be coming up to the whole conference and we can have a chat about what's happening with that.
That'd be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Juliette and Sacha. And it's been good.
Again.
Thank you.
Have a good night and speak to you again soon. Take care of yourselves.
Okay.
All
Bye
right.
now.
Night, Juliette.
Thanks,
Night,
bye.
Sacha. Night. Bye-bye. Right, you've been listening to Paranormal Dimensions on the Paranormal UK Radio Network. I'm David Young, and thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you. Bye-bye. I'm just going to play out the show with a different tune on this occasion. It's from Johnny Cobb and Jerry McCoy, Ultra International Music, BMI and Airhammer Music. The tune is called Paranormal. Thank you, Johnny, for sending it and giving me permission to play it. You can check out Johnny Cobb on Facebook. Hope you enjoy it, and I'll speak to you again next week. Paranormal Dimensions is a regular feature on Mondays on the Paranormal UK radio network.